am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks, here on the banks of Elk River, just upstream from Knoll, Missouri. And we're ready for lesson 76 here on Saturday, March the 16th of 2024. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace publication, A Course in Miracles. I am under no laws but God's. We have observed before how many senseless things have seemed to you to be salvation. Each has imprisoned you with laws as senseless as itself. You are not bound by them, yet to understand that this is so, you must first realize salvation lies not there. While you would seek for it in things that have no meaning, you bind yourself to laws that make no sense. Thus do you seek to prove salvation is where it is not. Today we will be glad you cannot prove it. For if you could, you would forever seek salvation where it is not, and never find it. The idea for today tells you once again how simple is salvation. Look for it where it waits for you, and there it will be found. Look nowhere else, for it is nowhere else. Think of the freedom and the recognition that you are not bound by all the strange and twisted laws you have set up to save you. You really think that you would starve unless you have stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs. You really think a small round pellet or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle will ward off disease and death. You really think you are alone unless another body is with you. It is insanity to think these things. Oh my, it is insanity to think these things. You call them laws and put them under different names and a long catalog of rituals that have no use and serve no purpose. You think you must obey the laws of medicine, of economics, and of health. Protect the body and you will be saved. These are not laws, but madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. The body suffers just in order that the mind will fail to see it is the victim of itself. The body's suffering is a mask the mind holds up to hide what really suffers. It would not understand it is its own enemy, that it attacks itself and wants to die. It is from this your laws would save the body. It is for this you think you are a body. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything that you have made in opposition to God's will. Well, let's read it again since it needs repeating over and over. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything that you have made in opposition to God's will. Your magic has no meaning. What it is meant to save does not exist. Only what it is meant to hide will save you. The laws of God can never be replaced. We will devote today to rejoicing that this is so. It is no longer a truth that we would hide. We realize instead it is a truth that keeps us free forever. Magic imprisons, but the laws of God make free. The light has come because there are no laws but His. So he's saying that taking medicines and having bodies close to you and is forms of magic to believe that those are salvation. I mean, it's fine to have bodies with you, and it may even be fine to take medicines, but put your faith in God and the mind that God is one with. We will begin the longer practice periods today with a short review of the different kinds of laws, and that word's in quotes because they're not really laws that we have believed we must obey. We will begin the longer practice periods today with a short review of the different kinds of laws we have believed we must obey. These would include, for example, the laws of nutrition, of immunization, of medication, and of the body's protection in innumerable ways. Think further. You believe in the, in quotes, laws of friendship, of good relationships, and reciprocity. You know, you got to give back because someone gave to you. That idea that a law of that you might hold yourself to. Perhaps you even think that there are laws which set forth what is God's and what is yours. Many religions have been based on this, and the word religion is in quotes because they're really not religious ideas, not in the truest sense. They would not save, but damn in heaven's name. Yet they are no more strange than other laws you hold must be obeyed to make you safe. There are no laws but God's. Dismiss all foolish magical beliefs today, and hold your mind in silent readiness to hear the voice that speaks the truth to you. You will be listening to one who says there is no loss under the laws of God. Payment is neither given nor received. Exchange cannot be made. There are no substitutes, and nothing is replaced by something else. God's laws forever give and never take. Hear him who tells you this, and realize how foolish are the laws you thought upheld the world you thought you saw. Then listen further. He will tell you more about the love your Father has for you, about the endless joy he offers you, about his yearning for his only Son, created as his channel for creation, denied to him by his belief in hell. And we're that one Son, along with all our brothers and sisters. We're all one in God's eyes. Let us today open God's channels to him, and let his will extend through us to him. Thus is creation endlessly increased. His voice will speak of this to us, as well as of the joys of heaven, which his laws keep limitless forever. We will repeat today's idea until we have listened and understood there are no laws but God's. Then we will tell ourselves as a dedication with which the practice period concludes, I'm under no laws but God's. We will repeat this dedication as often as possible today. Say often as possible. You know, when he says that, you know, every 10 or 15 minutes for sure. There are no laws but God. It's a simple lesson, but we may be a long ways from practicing it, even though it's simple in word. We will repeat this dedication as often as possible today, at least 4 or 5 times an hour, as well in response to any temptation to experience ourselves as subject to other laws throughout the day. It is our statement of freedom from all danger and all tyranny. It is our acknowledgement that God is our Father and that his Son is saved. I am under no laws but God's. Okay, now we're going to read in our text reading, chapter 9, the acceptance of the atonement. We're ready for section 4, the Holy Spirit's plan of salvation. And while you're turning there, let's take a look at what's going on around the world. Black Press Day, Curlew Day, those birds, curlews, Freedom from Information Day, Freedom of Information Day, also James Madison's birthday. Goddard Day, which is for Dr. Robert Goddard, who was 1882 to 1945, a physicist and inventor. International Sports Car Racing Day, Lips Appreciation Day. A good day to wear lipstick, I guess. Not for men. I'm talking about women. I mean, I suppose men can. They do occasionally. Maple Syrup Saturday. Might be a good day to have maple syrup on your pancakes, huh? I always had pancakes for my kids on Saturday mornings. And we usually used maple syrup. National Artichoke Hearts Day. National Corndog Day. National Everything You Do Is Right Day. Boy, that's looking at ourselves through the eyes of God. The Holy Spirit sees that everything we do is right. National Panda Day. National Quilting Day and World Quilting Day. No Selfies Day. Play the Recorder Day. Save the Panther Day. St. Uro's Day, which is the patron saint of Finland. And we continue on with Lent and Ramadan. And Jeanne Gooseberry, a Ribes uva crispa out of Edible Landscaping, it says of it, Jeanne is a late ripening dark red dessert gooseberry with an unknown European pedigree. The fruit ripens from mid to late July, about 1 week later than the fruit of Invicta, and is ripe for about 1 week. The fruit ripens to a deep red. The yield from Jeanne is higher than from many other gooseberry varieties. The fruit taste is full and sweet. The plant tends to be somewhat spreading, growing to 5 foot high and 5 foot wide. Zones 5 through 7. The Jeanne Gooseberry. And then out of Permaculture for Beginners by Carrie Mitchell, Chapter 4, Creating Beds for Your Plants. We're ready for broad scale beds. Broad scale beds for larger plots for growing crops such as grains. Grains for humans and livestock such as wheat, corn, rice, oat, sorghum. Consider alley cropping as a type of broad-scale beds. And alley cropping is when you grow grains among your orchard, in your tree rows, where the trees can protect from the wind, and the cover crop or your grain that you're growing can give protection to the ground. But be sure to consider how you're going to irrigate if you need to, and pest control. Okay, the Holy Spirit's plan of forgiveness. And of course, we'll tell ourselves often today, I'm under no laws but God's. Atonement is for all because it is the way to undo the belief that anything is for you alone. To forgive is to overlook. Look then beyond error and do not let your perception rest upon it. For you will believe what your perception holds. Accept as true only what your brother is, if you would know yourself. Wow, that's that one Son of God, that's what your brother is. Perceive what he is not, and you cannot know what you are, because you see him falsely. Remember always that your identity is shared, and that its sharing is its reality. Paragraph 2. You have a part to play in the atonement, but the plan of the atonement is beyond you. You do not understand how to overlook errors, or you would not make them. It would merely be further error to believe either that you do not make errors, or that you can correct them without a guide to correction. Of course, the Holy Spirit's our guide to correction. And if you do not follow this guide, your errors will not be corrected. The plan is not yours because of your limited ideas about what you are. This sense of limitation is where all errors arise. The way to undo them, therefore, is not of you, but for you. And a little thing that I find is if you'll follow the peace in your heart and be quick to ask for help when you aren't feeling that peace, That's the way to follow the Holy Spirit, or as he calls it, your guide for correction. Paragraph 3. The atonement is a lesson in sharing, which is given you because you have forgotten how to do it. The Holy Spirit merely reminds you of the natural use of your abilities by reinterpreting the ability to attack into the ability to share. He translates what you have made into what God created. If you would accomplish this through Him, you cannot look on your abilities through the eyes of the ego, or you will judge them as it does. All their harmfulness lies in the ego's judgment. All their helpfulness lies in the judgment of the Holy Spirit. Paragraph 4. The ego too has a plan of forgiveness because you are asking for one, though not of the right teacher. The ego's plan, of course, makes no sense and will not work. By following its plan, you will merely place yourself in an impossible situation to which the ego always leads you. The ego's plan is to have you see error clearly first and then overlook it. Yet how can you overlook what you have made real? By seeing it clearly, you have made it real and cannot overlook it. This is where the ego is forced to appeal to mysteries, insisting that you must accept the meaningless to save yourself. Many have tried to do this in my name, forgetting that my words make perfect sense because they come from God. They are as sensible now as they ever were, because they speak of ideas that are eternal. Forgiveness that is learned of me does not use fear to undo fear, nor does it make real the unreal and then destroy it. Forgiveness through the Holy Spirit lies simply in looking beyond error from the beginning, and thus keeping it unreal for you. Do not let any belief in its realness enter your mind, or you will also believe that you must undo what you have made in order to be forgiven. What has no effect does not exist, and to the Holy Spirit the effects of what has no effect does not exist, and to the Holy Spirit the effects of error are non-existent. By steadily and consistently canceling out all its effects, everywhere and in all respects, he teaches that the ego does not exist and proves it. Follow the Holy Spirit's teaching in forgiveness then, because forgiveness is his function, and he knows how to fulfill it perfectly. That is what I meant when I said that miracles are natural, and when they do not occur, something has gone wrong. Miracles are merely the sign of your willingness to follow the Holy Spirit's plan of salvation, recognizing that you do not understand what it is. His work is not your function, and unless you accept this, you cannot learn what your function is. So just follow the Holy Spirit's guidance. Paragraph 7. The confusion of functions is so typical of the ego that you should be quite familiar with it by now. The ego believes that all functions belong to it, even though it has no idea what they are. This is more than mere confusion. It is a particularly dangerous combination of grandiosity and confusion that makes the ego likely to attack anyone and anything for no reason at all. This is exactly what the ego does. It is unpredictable in its responses because it has no idea of what it perceives. 8. If you have no idea what is happening, how appropriately can you expect to react? You might ask yourself, regardless of how you may account for the reaction, whether its unpredictability places the ego in a sound position as your guide. Let me repeat that the ego's qualifications as a guide are singularly unfortunate, and that it is a remarkably poor choice as a teacher of salvation. Anyone who elects a totally insane guide must be totally insane himself. So when you're following your own reasoning apart from your asking God for guidance and following your peace of heart, you're following the insane guide. It makes you what? Makes you insane. So we want to learn to quit following the insane teacher and follow the sane teacher, the Holy Spirit within. Anyone who elects a totally insane guide must be totally insane himself. Nor is it true that you do not realize the guide is insane. You realize it because I realize it, and you have judged it by the same standard I have. 9. The ego literally lives on borrowed time, and its days are numbered. Do not fear the last judgment, but welcome it, and do not wait, for the ego's time is borrowed from your eternity. You can enter that second judgment, the second coming now. This is the second coming that was made for you as the first was created. The second coming is merely the return of sense or sanity, your sensibleness. Can this possibly be fearful? 10. What can be fearful but fantasy, and who turns to fantasy unless he despairs of finding satisfaction in reality? Yet it is certain that you will never find satisfaction in fantasy, so that your only hope is to change your mind about reality. Only if the decision that reality is fearful is wrong can God be right, and I assure you that God is right. Be glad then that you have been wrong, but this was only because you did not know who you were. Had you known, you could no more have been wrong than God can. 11. The impossible can happen only in fantasy. When you search for reality in fantasy, you will not find it. The symbols of fantasy are of the ego, and of these you will find many. But do not look for meaning in them. They have no more meaning than the fantasies into which they are woven. Fairy tales can be pleasant or fearful, but no one calls them true. Children may believe them, and so for a while the tales are true for them. But when reality dawns, the fantasies are gone. Reality has not gone in the meanwhile. The second coming is the awareness of reality, not its return. That last judgment is the awareness of reality. And the last paragraph, 12, behold, my child, reality is here. It belongs to you and me and God, and is perfectly satisfying to all of us. Only this awareness heals, because it is the awareness of truth. And I might point out that word us is capitalized. So all of our brothers, and we're all that one son, one with our Father. So let's read that last part again. Behold, my child, reality is here. It belongs to you and me and God, and is perfectly satisfying to all of us. Only this awareness heals, because it is the awareness of truth. Okay, now let's go back and our longer practice period. We'll review the different kind of laws that you think you've set up. And after you've reviewed all the different laws, then we'll tell ourselves as a dedication with which the practice period concludes, I'm under no laws but God's. And then repeat that dedication every 10 or 15 minutes throughout the day. I'm under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. laws but God's. I am under no 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 laws but God's. And our word for peace is in the Catalan language of Spain, and it's pau. So may pau be with you. May peace be with you. Follow that peace in your heart, the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And remember, peace is associated with joy. And as you go into your meditation, be sure to stay alert and peaceful and joyful. Don't fall into drowsiness and enervation, he said. Keep bringing yourself back to that being alert and awake and looking for answers. Today, you're going to look for all the laws you've set up to replace God's laws that you think that you needed instead of love. The only law we're under is the law of love. Bobanam Kevalam. Love is all there is. God is love, and love is all there is. I am under no laws but love's. I am under no laws but God's. Pow.